Everybody, welcome back to DIT Chopped. You know, a lot of information was put out there, a lot of explanation was put out there for the motor build and all the different techniques. And we're going to move on and do a little bit of painting. Our motor is still drying right now. This is a back-to-back video from the last session. But right now the motor's still drying. Do you remember that little trickle that we heard in the last video? I found out what that was. That was the exhaust manifold. It actually fell off the tree. So, but we're going to put this right here beside the motor that's drying, and we're going to keep an eye on it because we don't want to lose that. That's a very important part. And we're going to go ahead and persist to the interior, putting the interior together. And just to give you an idea what we're doing here, what we're going to do in this segment, we're actually going to paint these parts. Now the assembly, the box, what I call the interior box or the interior square, it's already put together, and we did some pre-assembling in it prior to the video series. The seats, we did not glue the seats together, but we're still going to paint them. I'm going to show you some tricks on that. But we're actually going to paint this. So, and I'm telling you, we're going to get some painting skills. This is some good stuff. Now, you remember when the last video where I shook the paint and I stuck it upside down? Well, here it is. Now, you flip it right side up, and then you shake it again. And you'll actually hear it a little bit, and it kind of like a sloshing sound. But just give it a good shake. Oh, boy. Let's see if we can get it open. There's another trick that I'll also show you in another series about how to keep that from happening. But you want to take it off and grab your part. Now a lot of people will take their paintbrush and they'll just dip it in there. And they'll dip it all the way to the bottom, and they'll get all the paint up onto the stem right here. And that's bad. That's really bad on the brushes, because the paint will actually get up inside to where the bristles are glued to, and you build up paint buildup. And that's very hard to get out, even though you're washing your brushes out in turpentine paint thinner. But it still leaves a residue, and when you actually put the paintbrush, you clean the paintbrush and put it into like white, if you were doing like flat black consistently with it and you put it in white, you'll get a gray film. So just put just enough in there, and you'll notice that the bristles will actually suck it up. So you want to put just the tip of it in there. Just the tip of it. And basically you just want to just kind of very lightly go over it and put a very light coat. Now if you need to put a second coat, which we'll probably do, simply because, and I like to use the actual lid, just kind of dip it out of the lid like that. But just kind of like a primer coat. A lot of times it takes multiple coats, and you don't want to put a lot of glob. You don't want to glob a lot of paint on it, because when you do that, you actually cover up detail, and it takes the interest out of the model. So I like to do just a real light coat. This is light tan, or what they call light leather is also another really good one you can use for interior. It looks really, really good. And this is going to look awesome with this black finish. It really is. And what we're going to do, see I'm running out of painting in the actual lid, so we're going to have to go to the bottle here just a minute. But yeah, it's pretty much. But what we might go over this with regular leather, And basically what this is more of just of a primer coat than it is painting. And that makes it a lot easier, because if you try to put leather brown over top of white, you get a lot of bleed. You'll get a lot of white streaks in your interior, and when you try to cover over it, it has a tendency to really become problematic. And what I mean problematic is you're going to paint it over and over and over. So this is a very effective way. Just go just a little bit lighter than the color that you're actually going to use, and just, you know, put a primer coat on it. Now, another effect that you can do, which I will do in later series, you can also take you can thin your second coat out just a little bit, your darker coat, with a little bit of paint thinner, and it takes a lot of practice. I would highly recommend that you actually practice on like a piece of overhead sheet, you know, paint a piece of overhead sheet with regular enamel paint, spray tan, and then practice. But you can actually do some marbling effect, which is really, really cool with the leather colors. And I found that to be very, very, very nice for custom features for like wood grain on dashboards and stuff like that. But we'll get into that in later series. So, but just real quick here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint the rest of this up, and I will definitely get right back with you, and we'll have some more awesome things. So don't go anywhere, because the video is going to be playing here in just a second. So let me finish this up, and I'll get right back with you. Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm glad you're still with us. Just got done painting the seats and the dashboard, the steering wheel, and the steering column. And we are going to be finishing up this real quick here, and I'm going to show you a trick. As soon as I dig out my parts here, because they actually came off the tree. And actually found my hemostat. Oops. And the best way I found to do this is basically get just a corner of it, just like that. You know, we can touch that up later. And there's a reason why, and I'll show you here in just a second. You know, once we get everything painted and we're going to get everything dry, we are going to then start on doing some chassis work. And the only reason why I jump on the instruction book with the chassis is because in the instruction book it has it where we're just going to stick this right here on the edge of the table, and we'll go ahead and stick the other one. But it's because the body, and there's a bunch of parts, you mount your engine on the chassis, and then you put the axle together and your exhaust on and everything, and that's just, in my opinion, I think that's misrepresented and it's misillustrated, because you end up scratching up parts. And when you put your parts on there, I prefer to have the parts upright, so that way they're not getting scratched up. You know, the tires are on the table. And I'll show you that here in just a second. Let me just take my brush strokes out. This part here real quick. That's going to look like leather when it's finished. Now, I've stuck several coats on the other parts, and they're going to require another coat, but we'll finish that up actually off camera and for y'all, so that way I don't bore you. But, you know, go ahead and wash the brush out. needs a new thinner. It's looking pretty bad. But you can also recycle some thinner too. And I will show that in later videos. I'll try to have multiple containers like this. Because if you let the thinner sit, the paint actually, the silk actually settles to the bottom of the thinner. And if you're very careful, you can actually pour off the thinner into another bottle. And you got clean thinner. We'll show that in another video. But anyway, let's get back to what we're doing here. We're going to go ahead and stick our parts over here so that way they can dry. And we're going to start on the chassis. Illustrating what I was talking about earlier. See, if you look right here, you actually mount the engine in the chassis, and the chassis is actually raw. There's nothing for the engine to sit on. There's actually nothing for the frame to sit on. Okay? So, and then you go further into it. Okay? It actually has it to where you put the engine compartment together, and then you put your glass in. I highly recommend that the body and the glass be done last. It doesn't matter if your instruction book's telling you. Okay? And then you flip it upside, you put your body on, and then you flip it upside down, you do the chassis. Now, this is ridiculous in my opinion, because when you're putting the rear axle in and you got your model on the table, you can scratch the roof of your model up, and that's ridiculous. That's just absolutely ridiculous. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump to putting the actual chassis together, and I want to put the front suspension and rear suspension in. I did notice that my shocks were not painted, and so we're going to put the actual chassis together, and we didn't paint the drive shaft. And I'm going to show you a little trick on that here just in a minute. But go ahead and get your chassis. Put your chassis face down. And what we're going to do is we are going to find, again, organized work area. I highly recommend it. We're going to find our front suspension. There it is. Okay. Now the front suspension, and you always got to check for your shocks and stuff. Okay. Now this here should come off fairly easy. Some of them don't. This one's going to be a problematic. A lot of them just fall right off the tree. But this one here doesn't want to do that. So, oh, now it decides to come off. Okay. And just do just a little bit of trim, making sure that it looks good. All right. Now, and then you want to look at your instruction book, and the stabilizer bar always goes towards the front, of course. Always check your instruction book, and you want to put a little dab of glue on the pen. Just a little dab of glue. Boom, boom. Always put your cap on the glue. Keeps your little hairies from going on. And then you're going to take it, and you're going to stick it right on there like so. Okay. And this here just fits right in. That's all you got to do. Just two. Now, if you want to get very versatile on this, and I'll just show you real quick here. These, you can also put glue. And you want just a touch of glue. And I'll put this on. You want to put just a touch of glue. You want to get a bead, just like that. And put just a touch of glue there. Just all you gotta do is touch it. There. Just touch it. There. Just touch it. And right there. Just touch it. That's all you gotta do. Just a little bit of glue. Well, okay. Now you want to be careful of your little furries. Okay. And then you take your chassis and you just put it right on there. And if you get a little bit of glue on it, that's okay. I mean, you might touch it and it might go a little bit, but just just leave it alone. And later on, you can actually just scrape it off with the razor blade, because the paint will actually create a film on it, and you just take it right off with a razor blade, X-Acto blade. Okay, you got that done, and then basically what we did is we just did that right there. We stuck that part on. Now you want to do your exhaust, but before we do the exhaust, you got to put the exhaust together. So that's this right here, and the exhaust is quite simple. Get your handy clippies, clip. I love these things. Okay, and the back side, you want to clip. Always cut away from it, the part. Now this here is a real classic style. You see this right here? It's right up against in there. Okay? You want to actually clip it like that. Okay? And by doing so, you want to then take it onto your cutting area. And I'm actually attacking my engine with the chassis. And you want to cut that as close to this as you can, right here. Okay? And just like that. And then like that. And for those who have girlfriends and wives, you gotta watch where your plastic flies. Women have a tendency to get upset when they're sweeping the floor and they find your stuff all over the place like this. But anyway, I know, I lived it. There we go. So, and just make sure you got all your flange off. Oh yeah, we're looking good. Trim it. Trim that just a little bit. Okay. Or a rule of thumb. Okay, dry fit. Make sure that dry fits really good. Now you're also going to notice too that some of these parts, if you put them on wrong, they won't fit right. Oop. Okay. You want to just kind of scrape that a little bit. It's alright though. We will touch that up. Touch that up. Oh yeah. This is some good stuff, I'm telling you. I want to make you all model masters before I'm done. Our card rule, just glue just the pin. Whoa, 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 that's too much, it's too much. Also, if you get a glob of glue, stick it inside the cap and go around like that, okay? Another trick too. See, I'm going to teach you all kinds of tricks. What you do is you just a little bit of glue right there on the pin. A little bit of glue right on the pin. Always put your cap on, because of all them little hairy things. Them hairy things becomes problematic. I'm telling you. Got a lot of issues with them. Oop. This is going to be a little issue. There we go. Okay. Nope. Before when I drive through. Sometimes things change while you're building. So we'll just go ahead and hold this together for right now, and and I'm telling, and by doing this, another reason why we do this too, or I do it. This is how most models are put together. First you do the engine, then you do the chassis, then you do the interior, and then you do the body, and then you do your final detailing. Some of these kits will actually jump around a little bit. So, and I just made it a custom to build the engine first. A lot of times I will build the chassis first because I'll end up changing the engine out of another model and putting it in there. And when I do, it's called mocking up, and that's in the custom sessions that we will do. When you do your chassis up, your chassis will basically snitch certain things to you. They'll tell you certain things. And if you're customizing, especially four-wheel drives, you can put lift kits on them and do all kinds of different things. So, and by building the chassis first, you can do a lot of mock-ups. So there we go. And that should be okay. Should be. Sometimes it doesn't always work. Okay. Now, the chrome tips, I'm going to put the chrome tips on later. Because if I put the chrome tips on now, then we got to stop the video. But, okay, so now what we got to do is we got to put this in the, and you will notice that there is, and it tells you on the instruction book where it goes. Okay, it does tell you where it goes. But you'll also see that there is these little guides right here, and this is where it rests, right here. These one here, and there's one right there. So, and then you got your two holes. So a lot of these models will actually have a guide or a hint of where it goes, and that's always cool. That's always cool for the model builder. Now on the holes, you want to do the holes, right? Wrong. On this one, you want to do the pins. If you can use your pins, it saves you a lot of trouble. So go ahead and do that. We can put it right in here. And just drop it right in. Pop, pop, pop. Make sure your catalytic converters where it's supposed to be. All right. Now, this is going to have to dry for a few minutes, and that's okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, remember when I told you that I forgot to paint some parts? We're going to actually take care of those parts right now, and it also gives me an option to kind of talk to you a little bit, and because those will have to dry, and I'm going to kind of rush the process a little bit. These are actually upside down already, so the silt's at the very top. I'm hoping it's not globbing my cap. Okay, we should be alright. Okay. And alright. Oh, we're not so lucky. That's alright though. Perfectly okay. We'll try a different. We'll try a different bottle. Okay. This is more opaque, I think. Here we go. Good paint is very, very important. And knowing where your paints are is also important, because old paint doesn't work very well. But that's okay. We can still work it out. We just basically use the paint fluid from this to thin out the glob and stretch it. If it doesn't work, you can actually just dip just a tip of your paintbrush in paint thinner and just go over it, and just a tad, just enough to make the bristles slide right over the paint. All right, there we go. And this actually doesn't take very long to dry, so we're really good on this. Okay, we got that done, and I like to do a little bit of a flare. So what we're going to do is we're going to my blue. Let me get my blue. I think my blue's right here. Yes. Actually, we'll just do red. We're going to do stoplight red, regular stoplight red. And we're going to paint the shocks real quick. Real quick. That way they're both dry and ready to go. And we just do. Now, there's a little bit of black that is bleeding in this red right now, and this actually will turn this cardinal or dark cardinal, which is a color that is used for soaps. Oh, there's my dog barking. Collie. There we go. Hey! Yeah, sometimes she scares me. I'm telling you. She's got a mean bark. That's enough. There we go. We'll just let that dry real quick here. And I'm just plugging right along. So, that's enough. Yeah, she barks at farting crickets. That's what I tell everybody. But, okay. So far, we should have, which that doesn't look too bad, but we're going to have to put another coat on that. But that's okay. And we're going to go ahead and just kind of veer off a little bit. And I'm going to just kind of concentrate on the rims right now and the tires. So now, the rims and the tires, this would be the rear rim, and this is the front rim assembly. Now the front rim has a pin in it that goes through the hub when it goes into the tire. And how you put, you really got to pay attention to the instruction book, because the instruction book will actually tell you how to put the tires together. And I'm going to show you that real quick. Okay, and we'll assemble a tire real quick here. Now, if you look at it, it should, you got to be very vigilant, because this has these fins on it. I don't know if you can see them. A lot of people cut these off and they think that these are flare from the casting and the molding. Okay, check the instruction book very vigilantly, because the instruction book has those on there. And the reason why is because this is what holds the rim, the hub in the tire. But if you look very closely, there is a little bit of flare right there. You see it? And what you want to do is you want to cut that off and make that flat. Spin it up. You'll see another one right there. See it? And you want to cut that flat. And you want to do this without getting stitches. Alright? And then what you do is you actually push this into the tire. Okay? Those flanges, what they do is they hold that in there. That's what that does. Okay? Then you get your rim. Oh, babe, I don't get my fingers all sticky with the paint. I know I got my rim caps in here. I'm telling you, this is some good stuff. You guys are absolutely going to just love this. Okay, now any chrome part, you basically take your razor blade and you scrape the chrome off. Remember, chrome's got nickel in it, and nickel doesn't allow the glue to actually activate. So what you do is do that, and stick a not a generous amount, but you know, pretty much a good bead on there, and then you just put it on there. Now, a lot of people will actually go around the tire, around the rim, and all that, and I have found that all that does is make a mess. And cleaning that mess up, you end up destroying the rim, and the tire doesn't look very good. So, and it's basically just stick it in there till it sets, stick it by, it's all good. Do your back rim the same way, but you got one right here. Take it off, make sure that your flange is missing, you know, or not missing, but you cut your flange off, your flare. It's also called flange in some model kits. And then I gotta move that motor. I moved the motor into a pop cap, so that way we can grab the tire. Here we go. Lock that monkey right in, and make sure that there's no flange or flare on there. That's good. Flip it back. Now, there's some flange back there, which we'll take care of that real quick. Alright, put a little glue on it. I'm probably boring y'all, but it's good stuff. It's good stuff. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't. There we go. Just gotta just squeeze it together, hold it until it binds. It shouldn't take that long. If the part fits properly, it shouldn't take that long. Here we go. Now remember that engine? We're gonna get ready to finish it. Okay, there we go. It's starting to hear. So stick it right there like that. All right, right here, you got your distributor cap. Yep. So we're gonna pull that. Gonna give this kind of a minute to dry up a little bit. Our rear axle's almost. It's looking pretty good. Okay. And now if you notice, you may not be able to see it, but the pin is flat on one side. Okay, and that's the reason why, is because it fits in there a certain way. So you gotta pay close attention to that. Okay, but put a little dab of glue on it, right there on the pin. Okay, pay attention to where direction it goes, and just drop it right in. Drop it right in. Now the cool thing about this is the silver off the manifold is actually going to bleed on that pin a little bit, and it'll actually make it silver. So, and that's a cool effect. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and pull out our other chrome parts, which has our headers on it, or not our headers, but our valve covers.
I'm gonna go to my bedroom.
Okay. That's my 9-year-old son. And go ahead and check it for the flare. Trim that flare off. Okay. Now, here we go. It looks pretty good. I think these are the same. Another thing I want to mention real quick here with you is always double check the valve covers, because some of them have actual tubes that come off the valve cover. So, and it does not look like it's got. And so, just make sure here. Here it is. Nope, don't have it. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, so what you do is, again, scrape the chrome off of it. And all of a sudden, and always glue from the inside out, but you gotta be careful, because I just took off a pin. You see that pin? Little circle? There's a pin there. But that's okay. It's okay. What we're going to do is we can still line it up. Stick it right down the middle. Stick it right on the engine. Okay. Now if you look real closely, you'll see that there's two little pins there. That's what we're actually gluing to. Okay. There we go. We're going to have a hot engine when we're done. It's going to be a hot rod. Okay. Go ahead and do that. Squeeze it down in there real good. Engine's looking good. And your manifold, exhaust manifold, which I just happened to pick this one up off the table. I'm going to do this one first because it's loose. Simply because it's loose. Go ahead and put a bead on that one, just on the pins. Okay. Always helpful to have your cap with the open facing up, so that way all you gotta do is go, and you're done. Makes things a little easier. Put this right up here like so. Should go right in place. I already dry fitted these earlier. I had to do some trimming to make them fit, but it was before we started this video. And go ahead and take this one off. And we're getting pretty close here. Dry fit it just real quick here. Yep, it fits. Alrighty. And we are going to go ahead and Boom. And this concludes our video. And we're going to have another one coming up. The engine's basically complete. So, and we're going to put the chassis together in the next one. So, thank you very much, folks. Hit subscribe, share, hit like, and stay tuned. Because our next video is going to be the chassis. So, thank you very much, my friends, for watching.